Good evening and welcome to the Evening News' Week in Review for the week ending Saturday, March 23, 2019. I'm Davina Ramdas. Thanks for joining us. For the next 30 minutes, we'll recap some of the top stories that were featured during the past week. We begin by telling you that an investigation into complaints of discrimination at the Guyana Elections Commission has found that Vishnu Prasad was in fact the most qualified person for the post of Deputy Chief Elections Officer despite him being overlooked for the position. It was also noted that GCOM chairman, Justice James Patterson, and other top officials refused to cooperate with the investigation into its hiring practices. More in this report filed by Davina Samru on Monday.
The investigation was conducted by the Ethnic Relations Commission, and the findings were handed over to the relevant authorities today. In June 2018, Vishnu Prasad, who worked at GCOM for 12 years, including in the capacity of Deputy Chief Elections Officer, emerged as the highest scored candidate for the position with a score of 76. Roxanne Myers came in second with 72. Despite Prasad being the top-ranked candidate, the government commissioners voted for Myers to be appointed, while the PPP commissioners voted for Prasad. Chairman Justice James Patterson used his casting vote in favor of Myers. This move sparked widespread controversy and triggered allegations of unfair hiring practices at the commission. An investigation into these allegations found that there was no evidence to support such claims, largely because many top GCOM individuals, including the chairman, refused to cooperate with the Ethnic Relations Commission. But on that particular matter regarding Prasad versus Myers, the Ethnic Relations Commission found that Prasad was the first candidate in the history of GCOM who had obtained the highest score and had not been appointed. The ERC investigators interviewed the GCOM chair on his decision to ignore the top-ranked candidate. Justice Patterson admitted that he had never met or interacted with Prasad. Nonetheless, the GCOM chair said he did not vote for him because he had a feeling Prasad was shifty. Justice Patterson was asked to submit evidence to support his claims, but he never did. But former GCOM chair Dr. Steve Surge Bali described Prasad as a good character who employed tact, prudence, wisdom, and honesty in the discharge of his duties. The Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield also described Prasad as having good interpersonal relationship, good work performances, and undertook various responsibilities. The investigation was conducted by retired Justice Stanley Moore, along with former Deputy Commissioner of Police Lloyd Smith and Human Resources Consultant Jairam Petam. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
On Tuesday, we reported that the magistrate's court dropped contempt of court charges against 8 top executives of the Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry Limited, GBTI, saying that the bank officials should not have been charged in the first place. In response, GBTI said it was grateful that this malicious attack on its integrity has been brought to an end in the courts. Yanela Dalrymple has the details.
In October 2017, the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, charged the bank's directors with contempt based on the advice of the Chambers of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The directors were charged over their alleged refusal to provide information to the court about the movement of $500 million in the account of the Ghana Rice Development Board as part of a probe by SOCU. Today, Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan said that, in her opinion, the directors should not have been charged since the court had already granted them more time to provide the information. These directors include Chairman Robin Stobie and directors Edward A. Bihari, Sarish Bihari, Richard Isava, Carlton James, and Basil Mahadio, along with the then acting Chief Executive Officer Shalisa Shah and Catherine McLean. The Chief Magistrate said, based on the evidence provided, the High Court ordered for them to provide the information had not been breached. SOCU had moved to the High Court in an attempt to get the bank to provide investigators with information related to the movement of the $500 million. The High Court had issued an order instructing the company to provide the information. When the company failed to do so immediately, SOCU filed the contempt charges. During the initial hearing, attorney Nigel Hughes, who represented the 8 accused, told the court that the move to the court was nothing more than an abuse of prosecutorial power. He stated that his clients were following the court's order and had been granted an extension by the Chief Justice to turn over all the relevant information to the Special Organized Crime Unit. Further, Hughes stated that the order was handed over to Suku, but the unit chose to not acknowledge it. He said the court ordered by the Chief Justice was directed to the bank and not necessarily its directors. Soko is contending that the bank failed or stalled and gave all kinds of excuses, and even destroyed pertinent records relating to GRDB. For the evening news, Yanala Dalrymple.
Opposition leader Barry Jagdi on Wednesday accused the coalition government of conspiring with the Guyana Elections Commission to rig the next general and regional elections. Here's Kizzy Coleman with more.
According to Jagdeo, the move to replace the current voters list through house-to-house registration is the reason for his claims. The opposition leader told a press conference today that his party has made several proposals to put certain safeguards in place, but he maintains that the current voters list, which is due to expire on April 30th, could be used for the next elections instead.
The same commissioners and the same chairman who sit in GCOM who now voted to go to new house-to-house registration never complained about the quality of the list. We never heard a single utterance from them that the list was bloated. But suddenly now the list is bloated because they're part of a conspiracy, those commissioners and the chairman, with the PNC to delay elections.
He maintains that the call for house-to-house registration will not ensure that more people are on the list and have a clean election. However, it is merely to delay election. Making reference to the recent news that GCOM will only be able to hold elections in late November, Jagdeo says it points to another act of conspiracy between the two.
This letter was a carefully contrived letter just before the expiration of the constitutional life of the government to give President Granger an excuse and out to say, it's not me, it is GCOM, which he's been saying all along. And look, now we have them saying they can't hold elections until November. So the opposition is being unreasonable. It is not us. It's GCOM that's delaying the polls.
However, the former Guyanese head of state has made a commitment to ensure that the PPP pile pressure on the David Granger-led administration through peaceful protest.
We will pursue legal action. There are several things that came up in my meetings with the lawyers that will challenge them in various areas. Their use of resources and a whole range of stuff where they have to be answerable. We, as I said before, we pursue a diplomatic option of internationalizing this issue. And we will not cease until President Granger respects the Constitution of Guyana and call early elections.
Reporting for the evening news, Kizzy Coleman.
Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.